أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على حي على الفلاح. حي على
السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Once again, my brothers and sisters in listening audience, I greet you with the greeting of Assalamu alaikum. And I say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I thank Allah for blessing us and guiding us to this last revelation called Quran to give us guidance that help us to improve our life. And today, with the help of Allah, we would like to discuss briefly a surah in the Quran that can cause us to look at ourselves and the world around us to get a picture of how we are to improve our life. And when we study the Quran, as the Quran says, as it should be studied, we pray to Allah that He continue to bless us with the light of understanding. And when we say light of understanding, that light that'll give us a pathway to improve not only our life, our family life, and our community life. And we pray that Allah puts in our heart that love for each other that we need in order to work together. So today, the khutbah for the first part is always to give thanks to Allah that we are here. Because we know the times we're living in, and by now, everyone should know what is meant by COVID-19 or the coronavirus. But isn't it a blessing to come in a day and time and to thank Allah for blessing us to follow the proper guidance that we need to not only help ourselves, but to help our family and our community. And we pray, Allah, that you accept the guidance that are given to you, especially out of this Quran and amongst the learned believers and the learned that's in society when it comes to health care. So I'll read to you a surah entitled to read. And when I'm doing this, if you can actually focus your attention and mind on the purpose of reading and understand that you read for a purpose, and most people read to get an understanding of what they are reading. Some for enjoyment, some for pleasure. And when we have in the Quran some instruction, let us see and ask Allah for His help to give us more guidance as we read the surah entitled Iqra. This was the very first revelation sent to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is sometimes titled Allah, or a clot, like a clot of congealed blood. So it says in the Quran, it says, Iqra, the read. It's only referenced by this. It says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Iqra. Bismi rabbakal ladhi khalaq. Khalaqal insana min alaq. Iqra wa rabbakal akram. Alladhi allama bil qalam. Allama insana malam yalam. So in these first 5 verses revealed to the prophet, it's translated to say, proclaim or read with the name of thy Lord and cherisher, who created man out of a leech-like cloud. And as we study the various sciences that deals with the human body, we see in that first decree a capture of how we begin in life. It created man out of a leech-like cloth and proclaimed, and it's thy Lord that is most bountiful. And just think, reflect as a baby, all of us. Babies have needs. And in that verse, 5 verses in the Revelations of the Prophet Muhammad, Allah assures mankind that He is so bountiful, He would take care of all our needs, whether we have just came upon the scene as babies, because you know, for human life, the expression to live is to have food, clothes, shelter, education, that goes on and on. But it says, it is Allah who taught the use of the pen, taught man that which he knew not. And in so doing, as we study our religion, or we study the religion, any of the religions of Allah, whether we be Christians, Muslims, Jews, or other religious foundations, we realize that all of that dependency goes back to the one who created us. And in so doing, He did not only create us just to be idle, He created us for a purpose. And in these first 5 verses, it teaches us of those purposes. And the more we study, the more information Allah can reveal to us. If we seek the guidance, and if we seek to appreciate what has been put before us. As I said, it's so important to be thankful. Here's an example. Oftentimes, we forget as we grow up. You know, we exercise, we get stronger, we get bolder, we might even get more knowledge. But we also have to reflect on where we came from. How did we attain such talents and strength? And what was there to help keep us, to motivate us, to prepare us for such a venture in life? And in the book for humanity, in the Al-Quran, it teaches it is Allah that is most bountiful, and He taught us how to care for one another. And we can see that in those verses that we just reflect. And especially during these times of hardship. So I also encourage individuals to go back and read those first 5 verses revealed to Prophet Muhammad. And let us ask Allah to guide our heart and mind, open up our mind to a greater understanding, so that we can better appreciate those verses and better appreciate how Allah supported us all through our life. All, not only us, our parents and their parents, even from the beginning. and not only supported human life, but supported plant life, the vegetation in which we turn to for food, the animal life, another source of clothing and food. But Allah put all of this here for us. And when we can appreciate it, then we can earnestly in our heart and mind and understand what is meant when we say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And I tell you, we can't say it enough, because sometimes when we are blessed, even with material wealth, with our health, with our families, sometimes we may take it for granted that we are the one that sustain them. But all we have to think about is what happens to them in our absence. In our absence, simply as when we sleep, who protects them? In our absence, when we have to go to work to earn a living, who protects our family? Who protects the property of the community? It's Allah. And in so doing, it gives us a greater level to appreciate what Allah has blessed us with. And I know I could easily go on with all kinds of parables or sayings, but today I just wanted us to reflect during this first part of the khutbah, just to be thankful for what Allah has blessed us with and to show appreciation. And it's in the second portion of this khutbah that I will, inshallah, bring out points that help us to show our appreciation for what Allah blessed us with. So with that, brothers and sisters, and even the listening audience, I appreciate you listening, and I pray that we pay attention, we go back and read it, and ask Allah to help us in our understanding. And may Allah bless and keep us in this grace. As-salamu alaykum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Once again, brothers and sisters, I greet you with the greetings of As-salamu alaykum. But as Muslims, we are actually obligated to study the Quran and the Hadith, so we will be able to understand how to live properly and to appreciate our religion. And I wanted just to put a little emphasis on that, because we know in Hadith and other expressions, we heard this expression: to whom much is given, much is expected. And this addresses scholars, scientists, teachers, mothers and fathers, that we can't feel just successful by ourselves or to ourselves. Because in this Quran, it teaches us to reverence the wombs that bore us. You know, one of the first wombs is through that birth canal. No matter how strong men or women are, we had to come through the birth canal, the birth process. to get here. And if it wasn't for Allah constructing the nature of our women to give birth in that fashion, then there would be a whole new study, a whole new accord that we have to take into account. But in so doing, in reverence to whom that bores, you know, it's so important for us to show respect for our existence. And when we realize that even as a little child, we were very vulnerable to the situation around us. Anything could have happened to us, but Allah provided us with those that was designed to help and protect us. Well, the same is going on today with another womb. This womb that I'm speaking of is going to encompass this COVID-19 and the efforts being made to take proper steps in helping to protect us. And those that take heed and pay attention, we know that it's important in order to protect ourselves, and in terms, it will help us to protect our family. Literally, what I mean is when we go out into public places, put on masks. Because we know that this type of virus, this COVID-19, can cause great harm to our respiratory system, stimulate the pneumonia, and also cause death. But because this is happening worldwide, we too have to be very concerned of what is our role in this. Not only are we responsible for saying prayer, that Allah protect us, our family, and our community, but He protects the world. And we pray that Allah blesses us to come from under this. But in so doing, there's a responsibility. There's a job that we all have. And that job is to help safeguard ourselves from the dangers of that COVID-19, as well as other dangers that we have learned over time to protect ourselves from. Because I know there's a degree of anxiety wanting to get back and do things together physically. But then this is a test in time for us to realize that sometimes we have to take precaution before we get back together. Precautions that are help save our lives, basically, and the lives of our family members. And not just be foolish and bold and say, well, I'll do whatever I want to do. That is really not the proper attitude to take when we're in an environment that it requires us to pay attention to. So for the listening audience, I would even suggest that we follow the basic instructions that are given to us by wearing the face mask, avoiding loud and large crowds. Even though I know if you're a sports fan, you can't wait to get back into that. Even for the religions all over the world, to avoid the crowds and things. Because it is now showing that those big crowds can also create a big problem for that, not only that congregation, but when that congregation is released back out into the public, and if one has that COVID that don't know it and spread it through just normal gratitude or handshaking and everything, then it could spread things that could be detrimental to our health. So the things that we could do to help is to take time, teach our family, which I'm sure most of you are doing already, and also to be a leader in your family, in your community, so that others see that if we take it serious and we try to preserve ourselves in the right fashion by obeying the health restrictions and keeping social distancing in the other areas, then we can do this together. It's not such a weird formula. This formula makes sense because here in Arizona, at one point, we were looking at the stats of those greater cities that's more, has a greater density of people, a larger population, like New York, Texas, even California, in the spread because of the people mix and mingle and not covering themselves. And as a result, those populations reflected such a large increase of that COVID-19. Well, currently, during this month of June, Arizona hit the highlight in national news by being on the rise in the area of COVID-19, those tested positive. And it's spreading, even at the same time when government is trying to open up, hopefully in an equitable way that helps save lives. But it's not just the government's responsibility. I like to share an expression of the past. There was a president, and I think it was John F. Kennedy, who said, it's not what your country, let's say that as government, can do for you, but it's what you can do for your country. Meaning also, we can't just leave it up to government to take care of us. We have to utilize the 5 senses that the Creator of all humanity gave to us so that we could take on the responsibility of taking care of ourselves and families, and it make the job much easier for the government. So, and for the believers, we are taught that it is the believers that maintain the masjid. And in maintaining the masjid, we know these are difficult times for most, but we still encourage you to give in charity because your health may not permit you to do certain chores and things. But if you've been blessed with wealth or monies that can help, and we're trying to live up to the principles in our religion, Al-Islam, to be charitable, not only to ourselves and family, but to others. In the Quran, the book of guidance, where Allah said, and spend out of the love in which Allah blessed you with. And if Allah has blessed us, and you know we are blessed, even you here standing, speaking, and you listening. And it's important because we still have the common needs that need to be met. That's the electric, the water, the maintenance and upkeep, to take time and let us fix up our place of worship, our communities, our home, ourselves the best way that we can. So it's not a time to be idle, but it's a time to really home in on the things that we need to be doing. And I know what I'm saying is sufficient right now. All we have to do is reflect on it and do our best to do our part, and Allah will bless us. And that concludes the Jummah khutbah for the day. And I greet you with the greetings that I came before you. As-salamu alaykum.